Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me back. No, Matt. I know Matt. We're friends. That's why he lets me talk at this thing every year. So it's not a surprise that I'm here again. So this year, today, we're talking about Munki Middleware, or my journey to the cloud. So we all know that hosting Munki is pretty simple, right? Munki itself maybe not so simple, but the server side of it is fairly straightforward. You have all kinds of options. You pretty much can pick and choose your platform, your server, your OS. Because the files are all flat files, there's nothing really dynamic going on in there, like there are, I guess, in some cases. But originally it's just sort of just files on a server. It makes it really easy for you to use something like this, which is not a server, it's more of a service. So this is S3, Amazon's S3 service. And what this lets you do is you get to use their sort of infrastructure across the world. You get to make use of their REST APIs. We were talking earlier about certificates and TLS, so they take care of all that stuff for you. You also will never really run out of space again, because essentially it's endless and it's dirt cheap. So so let's put Munki in it. There we go. So this is to give you a rough idea. This is my environment, and it varies for region to region. So this is sort of a middle range one. This is the Oregon region. So you can see for 160 Macs, it estimates out to be about $11 a month to run those just off S3. So you can actually already do this already. You don't need to do anything other than to set up an S3 bucket, and it sort of creates this web endpoint here, and you point Munki at it. The only thing is that you have to open it up to the world. Like it has to be public. So that's sort of the problem, is that there is no security. The only thing you really have going for you is the security through obscurity thing. So I actually bought this stock photo because this guy looks. So let's lock it down. We'll, turn the lock on and let it run. And it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work. It's not supposed to work. You can't get at your files. So what do we need to get access to the files? You would need to create an authentication. Well, one method is to create an authentication header. You could also use query parameters, but this is the way I went. And to do that, you would use your credentials that you get from Amazon when you create an account. You use the time on the machine. You use this thing called a canonical URI, and then you get your files. So canonical URI. What's that? So it's actually this part right here. It's the object that you're requesting. So it's the other, your host names at the beginning, and then it's sort of anything after the host name. We have a problem. You could not do this with Munki. Munki lets you use headers, and that's how you get the basic authentication to work. But you weren't able to create a header for everything that you were requesting. It just didn't work that way. So luckily, open source, like we've learned today, open source is great. I was able to take a look at the code, and I'm not like a Python expert or anything, but I figured out where Munki was loading those preference files for the headers, and sort of hacked in the examples on how to generate those headers right there, and it worked. So I posted it to Munki Dev, and I waited for someone to tell me that it was a wrong idea, that I shouldn't do this. And I eventually got some feedback saying, if you want to do this, like Greg eventually got back to me and said, if you want to do this, it can't just be for headers. It's going to have to be for like the next person that asked me that I want to do this for X whatever. It needed to go further. So I eventually got that cobbled together, or what I thought would work, and then I created a pull request. And that went through a bit of vetting back and forth. And then one day I got an email in my inbox, and merged. And it was a couple of weeks. It wasn't that bad, and I was like, okay, sweet. So now we have middleware. So as of Munki 2.7, you can use middleware, and it has to be written in Python, but you could use anything that Python, you can wrap Python around, so Python can call any binary, so you can pretty much use anything. You have to name it a certain way. Actually, this is sort of a better example. So it goes right in the Munki folder, starts with the word middleware, ends with a .py, and that's pretty much it. Munki doesn't need any preference set. It's just if that file is there, it'll use it. If it's not there, it won't use it. And this is sort of how that process works. So Munki packages up the headers, the URL, some other options into a dictionary file, and it sends that off to the middleware. Middleware looks at that, makes the changes that you put in there, and then it sends it back to Munki, and then Munki goes out and gets the file. And this is sort of what you would see if you did a verbose sort of managed software update VVV. You can see here in the options, this is the original headers. And then this is the message saying that you're using middleware. And then here's the actual header signature that you need to get that one file. So it's important to note that it's not just for S3. We could also use this for Google Cloud. In fact, I've got Google Cloud Storage working. And if you're not like me and sort of invested in Amazon sort of infrastructure, I'd actually say that that's probably a good place to start, because you don't have to deal with the region stuff as much. It seems to be a little bit faster. Same price, pretty much. But yeah, so that works too. These other ones here are just some other examples of ones that could possibly work. And then you could probably use middleware for, I don't know, changing a URL for all kinds of things, or changing the headers for all kinds of other things, maybe not cloud storage. So what do we learn? We learn that we can keep our files safe if we use middleware. And there's the links to stuff to get going if you wanted to try it out. And that's it. Questions? Nobody. OK. Well.
I have a question.
OK.
Just wait. Can you control the order of your middleware? Have this bit, and then the output of this bit go into that bit, and then when you're finished, you've middlewared it all?
I don't know if I quite understand.
If you had middleware underscore foo, middleware underscore bar,
right.
Who gets to go first? Or
so you can only run one. So that's, yeah.
Ah, OK. Cool.
Yeah, you can only use one. So I guess if you wanted to use more, then you would make your own middleware and make it run all kinds of more stuff. But yeah, I guess, yeah. Anything?
I have a question.
Yes.
Tell me more about your journey.
Tell you more about my journey.
How did you feel with the merge?
Yeah, how did it feel?
It felt amazing. Actually, when I got that email at work, I jumped out of my chair and I was like, because I don't really do any development work really. Like I do some scripting, but I didn't think that it would ever maybe make it in there. Some pull requests kind of linger for a while, so I wasn't quite sure like who else wanted to use this, if this would be something that other people might want to use. So it was pretty awesome when I got that accepted. So yeah.
Tell me more about the process.
Okay. We got time, right? Well, yeah. So the cool thing about that I thought was really cool about this is that Amazon has this other API. Well, they have S3, but they also have this thing called IAM, which is, if you read through the notes, that's sort of how you set up your users and the different limitations. And the thing I thought was kind of interesting about that is that it's available to you as well through an API, so you can use their command line tools or to create those users. So it's possible then that you could actually create multiple users for each machine and then say revoke that user if you didn't want them to access those files anymore. So it's similar to like creating certificates for each machine. So this is sort of what that console looks like here. You can see the policies that I have are for read-write. So you would create a user that you would use to upload your files, and you can create a user then to read-only. So this is sort of what one of these policies looks like. It's pretty straightforward. Like here, I have my bucket name is just monkey test. And then this is something new that I'm just trying out to try and see if I can detect the region of the bucket instead of actually needing to know the region before. So it's pretty straightforward. And you can limit it so that that user account then only can list or only can get objects. So it's like there's all these different things you can do, like list objects, delete objects, get objects. So really all you need for Munki to work is to actually just have get object. So it limits that user to a small amount that they can actually do with that credential. And that's kind of really something that I learned doing this whole thing is that the account that you get when you first set up your Amazon account kind of gives you access to do everything. And it's the same sort of credential that you would get when you create this user. So it's pretty important to keep those separate. Like if you put that key on a computer and somebody got that key, then they essentially own your Amazon account, and they would do really bad things with that. So that's cool that you can do all that stuff. Yeah, I don't really know. It's kind of hard to go through the whole thing here. It's super easy to set up a S3 bucket. You just give Amazon your credit card, and then like I already had an Amazon account, right? So a lot of us probably do. So you can use those credentials to log into that AWS admin console, and then you just kind of have to verify your account with a phone message or whatever, and then you can just start using it. And like this is how you would create a bucket. You just click on S3, create new bucket, choose the region that you want. So it's you need to pick one that's probably close to you to make sense. And yeah, so it's pretty slick.
What are some of the problems that using Amazon for your Munki repo, what does that solve for you, and what are some of the things you should watch out for? Is that if you set your Munki repo in the cloud?
Well, obviously, so then you have to put all your files there. So if you just are used to dealing with a local repo, then that's going to be way faster to upload your files. Like if you have a really slow internet connection, that's probably not for you. So that was one challenge. You can't use Munki import really. I guess some people are trying to maybe figure out how to do that with some other products to change that. So you wouldn't be able to use for me that's not a big deal because I do everything locally and then I just copy it up there. So that would be a problem for people if they want to use Munki import. Yeah, those are kind of the things. I guess people who want to use it all on one server, now you're really only hosting your files. You can't really run auto package on there. You can't run your reporting tool on there, like an S3 bucket. You can just host those files, but you could do that with something else, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of it.
So is next year's talk going to be how to set up an Nginx proxy in front of your Amazon?
Yeah, that's the other thing I've been playing around with. I haven't got that kind of figured out just yet, but yeah, that's the next sort of thing for me to try to figure out is it easier to just have a proxy cache in front of S3, so then S3 is just like my source of truth, and then everything just comes down through the Nginx proxy cache. I actually put that in the link. There's a Docker container thing that I've been running that sort of works. The only thing is that you still need to put something in front of that because it's different host name then, so you have different set of certificates, you have different set of way of accessing that proxy cache, so there's still a few challenges there, but that's sort of like the dream for me is to just sort of have these proxy caches that I can just spin up in the local areas, and then when the machine, sort of like the Mac OS caching server, the machines go out through that proxy cache and then download it and cache it. So, yeah. So, to be continued.
Wait, are you using auto package to make your packages?
Yes, I am using.
Could you? I don't use auto package too much, but could you use a recipe to invoke S3 command, for example, to use it to upload your packages to Munki to AWS?
Yeah. Yeah, so like the CLI, like the command to run it is like, if you've used rsync before, you could probably do it. Like it's like, this is sort of what it looks like here. Somewhere here.
Control R.
Yeah, so like, So there's one. Where's the test one? Anyway, I had a one without like my bucket name in it, so that's probably not so great. Yeah, I have it in the wiki. I just added some more stuff on the S3 bucket stuff yesterday. Yeah,
Quick question, Wade. Also, perhaps there's also tools out there that would just be able to mount the bucket as a mount point.
Yeah, so
and
CyberDuck
that way it would behave like a Munki repo.
Yes.
And then auto package could just treat it like a local file path.
That is true. That is true. Yep.
No, transmit to that.
Yep. Yep, that would actually, and in fact, when I was doing a lot of Casper stuff and I used a cloud storage point, I did use just those things to kind of get auto package to work with the cloud storage point. So that's a good point. Yeah, so this is the CLI command right here. It's just like this. That's what I've been using. So it's one line. So you can put that in there. The CLI is pretty easy to set up. But yeah, there's all those tools. So cool. That was a long 5 minutes.